Perks versus Febiven, and Perks told us that it's one that he's been really looking forward to.
I'm happy that Fnatic won versus Vitality, and now it actually makes it even more interesting for me to play semifinals because I'm against my friends, and it can only be fun, you know. Last year he came into LCS as same as me as challenger player, and he was like the best EU mid laner for a whole year. So he showed up and proved a lot of people. So this year I was actually looking to do exactly the same. So I kind of took him as I kind of looked up to him from his last season play, and I learned a lot from him. So I'm actually really excited to face him in the playoffs.
Yeah, what a storyline here. We see them there, Perks and Febiven. When they met each other, this split, it went very much for the side of Perks, even though it ended up being a 1-1 in the head-to-head. But looking at yesterday's games, how much will the individual lane on his own influence the series? Amazing.
I think that mid lane is really important, because if you get an advantage in mid lane, you can translate it to side lanes, and especially if you have a jungler that is able to control on the mid lane together with the mid laner itself, you can get so much advantage for your team, and that's basically what Krabby talked about. You want to get advantage before the whole team fighting thing starts, and I think that's going to be really important this series.
I mean, that's also one of the major strengths from Perks. There's so many clips that already spring to my mind where he pushes mid, rotates bot for a play. Maybe at the start of the season was with the packs from Corki, makes it a little easier. But also Trick's style is very vision-based. Like, he would always just use the pressure that he gets from his lanes to then invade, mess with the other in jungler 1v1, and when he leaves some wards. And that allows the villagers to then play more aggressive again, you know, and then start translating these advantages from mid to top, from top to mid, etc. And I think that's one of G2's strengths. Hopefully, they can keep doing that, and hopefully Fnatic is not really prepared, because then we can see some nice pickoffs.
Yes, I agree that a big strength of G2 is that Trick is very good at realizing when he's stronger as a jungler and which point of the game. Then he just goes deep into enemy jungle, and their mid lane and bot lane are really quickly to follow, and Kikis is always actually on point with his TP. I think he's probably the best TP from top lane right now. He's really fast, and his TPs are actually really good, I think.
And that's something when people talk about Kikis, they're like, yeah, he's not that good, you know, maybe gets outclassed mechanically, but he's a player that works around his weaknesses. Like, if you're not the best player mechanically, perhaps you can't carry. I mean, just play your strengths, you know, play tanks and do good TPs, and I think he fits well, because no team needs 3 hard carries. And I think he's like a good puzzle piece there. The only risk is if you then get up against really good top laners that just destroy you 1v1. That might be an issue, but in the tank meta, I don't really see that happening.
I think it's mainly differs on what is played on top lane right now. If he would play on Worlds patch, when it was like Fiora, Darius, then I wouldn't say he would be a strong point in the team, but right now with the TPs and how you utilize your TP as a team, I think he's a good player.
Echo could maybe shift that balance, though, because that seems to be the one matchup. I see an amazing shaking no. Opinions?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, this is an analyst desk. We're here for analysis, you know?
In any case, the players, or Gamsu is having a problem with his headset. We are resolving that, so we have a bit more time to talk about it. And it's very interesting, the topic of the meta favoring one or the other team. And let's turn our attention towards the bottom lane. Hybrid, of course, we have Vander here. You were lauded by a lot of people and guests that came to us as the best support in the EU LCS.
I didn't show it yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe not able to show yesterday. But what do you make of Hybrid, and obviously Kleina, that he's had some practice on the team?
I think both me and Mitty, it was like the better support duo yesterday than we'll see today. But Hybrid, what I said already, I'm admired how he teamfights. I think he's really good in teamfights. So that's his main strength. And then Klai, I think he's a bit better than Hybrid in controlling vision. But then, yeah, his teamfight is not that good.
You're frowning.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I never watched. I see. You only can feel how good a player is at controlling vision when you play against him. It's hard to tell from me from above. I haven't paid that much attention to it. For me, Klai just felt really weak up until the last few weeks, where he improved a little bit.
Yes, I mostly refer to what I saw in Vitality game, and then what I played with Hybrid for the last 2 weeks in scrims every day. So I could notice that his vision control is not that great. Maybe he's lacking a bit in practice games.
He's sandbagging. yeah. What I like about Hybrid and Emperor, though, is that they can gracefully lose a losing matchup in lane and somewhat go even in CS. Is that something you've experienced? Like in scrims playing against them, or do you guys butcher them?
Yes, I feel that sometimes when me and Forgiven have weaker matchup, we still try to win it, and sometimes it backfires hard when you play against good players. But they when they are losing lane a bit and they feel that maybe they're not on top of their game, they just fall back and they will safely farm until the point that they are strong and contribute in teamfights.
As for the jungler, amazing. How annoying is it to play against Trick?
Pretty annoying. I think he really knows his prospects really well, and it's something that is quite unique to him. I think that most junglers are really just playing around the map and don't really go into any specifics or try to do anything creative. Whereas I think that Trick actually is really creative about what he does. It's not just the TP wards that he puts behind bot lanes if they want to dive him, but it's also about like the way that he approaches like the 1v1 matchup, that he actually knows which spells he has to dodge, how he has to play it properly in order to get the most pressure and everything like that. So it's really annoying to play against him, but Spirit is also someone that is pretty annoying to play against too, because this guy also knows a lot about how to beat someone 1v1 and is really confident in his mechanics.
Yeah, they're very similar in style, I feel overall. Do you think we'll see trackers or challenging smite from them? Because like if we have a patch where Kindred is like played, you could technically go for red smite for these duels, or do you think vision is too important for these junglers?
I think it really depends on game-to-game basis. I think that overall Trick is going to opt more into the tracker's knife because he's someone that is more vision-oriented, whereas Spirit is someone that really wants to go extremely aggressive, not just in the 1v1 matchup, but also against the enemy lanes. So he's probably going to be more likely to get red smite than Trick is.
All right, real
I have to
short.
disagree here with Amazing. I think when we see, depends on champion matchup. I feel if Trick will be Graves, Kindred, and there is like Ferja, Nidalee. No, Nidalee is green, but yeah, those two, Graves, Kindred, I think he'll mainly go for red smite, and then another case probably green. But I'm just support. So
Who's the
Very
best
short.
jungler? Who's the best jungler?
What, in Europe?
Yeah, Europe.
Can't say.
At this
I
moment,
think at this very moment, I think it's pretty contested. I thought during the regular season it was pretty open that Trick was the best jungler, but I think right now there's a contest for.
Amazing's the best jungler.
Right.
Ander, what do you think?
There's a contest
After
out there,
yesterday's.
and that's how it is.
Okay.
beautiful moment.
I think Trick is probably the best right now. I think Jankos is really good as well.
We will see. I do hear that the players are almost ready, and of course we want to see the games. And there's only one way to find out who will be the best, Trick or damn, I forgot. Spirit, of course.
That
So
guy.
much talking.
I love Korean players.
There we go. In any case, as we hand things over to our casters, we're going to take a closer look at the rise of the #1 seed, G2 Esports.
The 2016 European LCS Spring Split started with a few clear favorites heading into the regular season. Absent from everybody's top-tier list, however, was the fresh-out-of challenger G2 Esports. 9 weeks later, though, this team cemented their spot as the best in Europe, with a record of 15 wins and 3 losses. For a team that only qualified for the LCS on their 4th attempt, G2 Esports struggled to find a roster that would bring success until summer 2015. With over 10 roster changes, the team had one constant star player, mid laner Perks. Among the crowded field of top-tier talent, the 17-year-old carry went on to be one of the most statistically dominant mid laners across the entire region. In his first professional season, he earned a Rookie of the Split title, and Perks asserted his dominance in the mid lane throughout all of G2's games, crushing opponents in favorable matchups and extending his lead into the enemy jungle and side lanes. His impact is always felt and played a crucial role in G2's victories. Perks was able to play forward and aggressive because Trick was often in the shadows, enabling his team with exceptional vision and high-pressure play that became synonymous with G2's style. This was especially true on signature champions like Nidalee and Graves, both enabling Trick to invade, contest, and kill anyone standing in his way. When it comes to kills and damage per minute, Trick tops the tables, complementing his mid laner's play patterns to a T. How can two hyper-aggressive players go unchecked and unpunished? Hybrid is a big part of the answer. G2 as a team rely on their impressive frontline, opting to frequently draft utility-focused tanks into all of their team comps. G2 can often find both peel and engage in their support, and Hybrid commands the role so well, he has the highest KDA of all players in Europe. It's no surprise that this oppressive, highly coordinated lineup earned G2 Esports a first-place regular season finish in their inaugural split in the LCS, a first for any squad out of the European Challenger Series. With a table-topping record, the league's fastest average win time, the highest number of kills, the largest early game gold leads, and a bye to the semi-finals as the playoffs' first seed, the 2016 Spring Split Championship may be G2 Esports to lose.
Hey everybody, I'm Devin Pyrotechnics Young. I'm here alongside James Stress O'Leary and Martin DeFicio Linga. As we near picks and bans, gentlemen, let's run down our starting lineups. On the blue side for game number 1, it is of course G2 Esports. That means in the top lane, we've got Kikis prowling the jungle is Trick. Perks in the mid lane, Emperor the AD carry, hybrid support, and their coach is Youngbuck. And as we saw a moment ago, gentlemen, this is a team that is just absolutely stacked for talent, taking away all the awards we've got pretty much. MVP of the split, outstanding rookie, of course, in Perks, and then Youngbuck's the coach.
They got it all, man.
They got a lot of accolades, but their opponents have historical accolades and accomplishments. They have got themselves multiple European championships for the organization. It's Fnatic, Gamsu in the top lane, Spirit in the jungle, Febiven in the mid lane, Reckless as AD carry, Cly as support, and their coach is Daylor.
And this is going to be such an insane match because these two teams actually fit each other extremely well in terms of style. Because we have tank top laners, we have carry junglers, we have very, very high impact mid laners. We got two supporters also like to play these melee supports, these tanks, you know, Alistar, Braum in there. I feel like these two teams, a lot of Braum. There's probably going to be a lot of Braum in this here. But like both teams, they just fit each other extremely well. And it's also why if one team has found maybe an answer, a small counter to this style, it can really impact the match.
Well, we certainly haven't found, you know, in Fnatic series against Vitality, Vitality didn't have the answer. In yesterday's games, it was back and forth on how to play around the meta. So we are into our first bans.
And there's a Zed ban right off the board.
Yeah, talk about a high-impact mid laners, Zed being banned away because Fnatic is purple side. The only game there will be purple side tonight is today, or today. First game.
Tonight is today.
It is today, and it is the first game. Everything else is G2 on purple side. Kindred is another one. I mean, we're going to see jungle focus for sure. We might see some top lane focus as well. Otherwise, we go like Poppy, I think, as the most likely pick for these two top laners. I'm not 100% sure if they're going to play Echo. I think they can, but Echo is, in my opinion, a bit harder to execute at the perfect level.
Yeah, I would agree to play it to its absolute potential. So Bard has been banned away. Braum now banned away by G2 as well. You might ask, why so much the focus on Bard? Well, we've seen a couple of games from Hybrid. He actually has a 29 KDA on Bard. Like, he only died once in those two games. Impressive. Yeah, exactly. He was great at setting up G2 for fights.
And I think this also hits G2 in a lane where they could have gotten a small advantage. If we have standard lanes, the Bard is very, very strong, and Reckless and Cly has been very passive laners most of the time. Laning into a Bard and let's say a Lucian or a Sivir is very, very difficult. So I feel like Fnatic bans away. Also just the pick potential Bard offers. But this is an obvious first pick when Kindred is gone and Nidalee is gone. Graves is the remaining tier 1 jungler.
Yeah, with that Poppy banned away as well. They'll see some of the top lane already hit, but with Graves picked up, Fnatic looking to answer. From
here, though, we get to see where does the priority go. Alistar's still available, and with so much focus now on supports, could be opting for that early rotation for Alistar for Fnatic. Trundle is also up as a support pick.
Obviously, we look a lot at Trundle, Poppy as top lanes, but again, also that Echo that snuck his way in.
Yeah.
When Trundle is available, then Maokai falls slightly down in priority, and also why you don't see a Sivir Maokai first rotation coming in for Fnatic. But also when you have double support ban, double jungle ban, you know, the remaining top tier picks in those roles will of course go higher and higher. That's why the Graves, that's why the Alistar.
And with the Sivir being locked in for Fnatic, there's no rush for G2 to look for their AD carry. It's like
gonna be Lucian
when it comes up. Emperor, half of his regular split games were on Lucian. It's kind of like written already in there before you ever see it.
And he's been a beast on it, but at the same time, G2 not having to show that hand, go ahead and grab themselves the mid laner Lissandra, a pick that Febiven had immense results on last week.
Yeah, and now obviously for Fnatic, we had some fast picks coming in because teams very clearly expected like the Graves first pick. So Fnatic said, okay, Sivir is open, we take that one. And then as we talked about the Alistar with these support bans, Trundle is more than fine being swapped into a support role for Hybrid as well. And you can then still pick a Maokai or an Echo up top lane. For Kikis also played a lot of Nautilus during the split. Fnatic though right now needs to decide, do we want to save counter pick for top lane or for mid lane, because Lisandro's already been locked in on the side of G2. I think you can pick your mid laner here and save the pick for Gamsu, but does he really have any counters, or is it just another tank?
Well, we're actually going to find out. It's actually going to be jungle for it. Oh, the last second swap to the Lee Sin for Spirit. I was going to say locking Ryze and Echo does, although they have flex potential for both top and mid, does lock your solo laners. So with the last minute change, now there is still that flexibility in the draft.
Man, we saw some nasty Echo play.
Wow.
Definitely expecting to see some good things out of Gamsu. Still be able to build that tank up, and G2 get a quick lock-in on their side. Kalista Thresh.
Yeah, this lineup from G2 is very, very strong in the early to mid game. We have still a fantastic strong 2v2 lane in Kalista Thresh, despite some nerfs coming in. Into obviously a melee support, so you have double range first of all for G2. At the same time, Trundle into Echo is actually a good matchup for the Trundle as well. Echo later on in the game becomes extremely annoying. He can go QSS against the Trundle and you won't kill him 1v1. But G2 are just stacking very, very strong lanes here, and then this double teleport we expect to see.
Yeah, you have to expect to see it, especially when you look at the likes of Alessandra for Perks. Now, will Fnatic do the same thing they did against Vitality, which is pick this Kassadin, which is going to be able to punish later on in the game? Keep in mind that as G2 are trying to utilize this setup with strong side lanes, there is the potential that G2 don't have the fastest push in the mid game against Fnatic right now. It's not like they had the Azir that was good at pushing turrets. Kalista is fairly short range, has to step forward, so this Kassadin is ever so slightly harder to punish than Vitality had the opportunity in game 1.
And also, last time Fnatic ran the Kassadin, it was with an Ezreal as the AD carry, so he's very slow when it comes to also clearing his wave when you move into mid lane. Sivir is of course very good at wave clearing, but it is double TP 1-3-1. It's exactly what we expected, and again, coming into this pick and ban phase, we said these two teams, they share the same kind of play style.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to see.
And that's the other thing about this comp, the Echo as well. Once he gets those 2 items completed, he has strong wave clear presence as well on the other side. So they have very strong side laners in this matchup for Fnatic. On the side of G2, you already talked about how they want to win the lanes early. Then you're looking for the Lissandra, for the Thresh to try and set up picks. You've got Graves to burst down. You've got the Kalista damage coming through as well. So this could be an explosive game overall.
We will have to see when these two comps bump heads who's going to come out on top. Now, they are all locked in. It's time to see if the new kids on the block can take on the reigning European champions.
He was like the best EU mid laner for a whole year, so this year I was actually looking to do exactly the same.
Yeah, hopefully they make the same mistake as Vitality and they give me the right champions.
I kind of looked up to him from his last season play, and I learned a lot from him.
I know what he plays, he knows what I play.
This mid-lane matchup is probably going to be the matchup of the year.
I think it will show in the match against Gamers 2, who is the better player.
I'm actually really excited to face him and show him that apprentice can beat the teacher.
Who's going to write their name on the wall this split, gentlemen? Fnatic, 5 out of 6. And the other team doesn't exist anymore. G2 are looking to be that next one.
Well, you've heard him basically say it himself, but for Perks to be the man, you've got to beat the man in this one against Febiven. And that's the matchup we're looking for most.
Well, there's an old saying, if you come at the Kings, you best not miss. Fnatic, they've ruled it. But is it time for a change? G2 going for some deep wards to start this off.
Yeah, again, G2 here wants to go in and try and secure these standard lanes for themselves, and they want to see if they can spot out Fnatic. Early on, we can see on the bottom side, Reckless and Kly's moved their way in as well, placing a few wards. But really, these compositions here, again, this is what 6.6 is all about. These 1-3-1 compositions with double teleport. The mid laners will follow each other to the same side lane as well, but there's just a difference in how you want to play it. Perks wants to be the man engaging, TP flanking in, where, of course, Fabian wants to be the man who follows his team when they go in. He wants to be the guy assassinating the backline. So difference in how they are going to play the team fights, but they're going to be very, very important, both of them.
Oh, yes, absolutely important. And in these kind of games where the double TPs are on both sides, you're always looking for the opening for when you have that teleport advantage. If somebody greedily TPs back to lane, instantly you have the ability to look to attack a weak point with both of your TPs. So that's the kind of opening that G2 we need to see if they can force.
And we just saw the Fnatic dual lane stay around mid lane for quite some time, waiting until the very last moment before they moved. They didn't spot anyone until in the end. I think the ward at Raptor camp they had placed did see G2 moving to the bottom side with Kalista and Thresh. So we get the lanes of Fnatic we're looking for. Should in a sense, slow down the game a little bit for them. They don't have to worry about all lanes getting pushed in and Graves suddenly invading and the Kassadin is struggling in the mid lane. Now we get to share farm and we get to share some tower gold.
Hybrid was a little bit late. Normally you'd see the support come up and try and contest, but obviously against an Echo, Echo offers a fair amount of extra clear potential on that first camp using that time winder. So at that point, Hybrid didn't get himself up there quite fast enough, but he got the ward, he got the knowledge that they were faster through the jungle. So that's just as good. It's very rare that you ever see that taken and stolen away.
Trick still taking some time, and his red buff and Spirit doing the same. We've got the good old 3v0s up and top, and as you mentioned, a little bit of faster wave clear on the side of Fnatic, able to push those down just a bit quicker.
Yeah, another very big thing for Fnatic in the lane swap is they actually have fantastic wave clear with both Echo and Sivir. So even when you're standing at towers, you want to get almost every single auto attack on the tower itself and not on the minions. Kalista does have to sit and start hitting these minions with a few auto attacks before she can rent them. Sivir, you throw the boomerang, maybe one hit with Ricochet, and then of course the Echo Q as well takes down these waves very quickly.
Yes.
But for now it's even.
The same with the Trundle, and actually there's something here that might happen that we saw last week where Gamsu managed to shove Vitality so far back that it slowed Vitality's second push here. A lot of it is on the recall timings and how much you can punish a top laner from shoving in. I want to keep my eyes on Gamsu and see exactly how much he manages to influence this second wave.
Yeah, and again, it's another bonus with Echo. He's one of the very few top laners who has ranged wave clear. So he can sit in these lanes after tower dies and very, very easily push it out and even deny you a few minutes, which can then help when the next push happens for the next tower. Febiven saying hello to Perks. Perks replying.
A lot of smack talk between those mid laners. They're definitely going to want to go at each other's throats, but Febiven on the later scaling Kassadin looked like he had the good trade, but Perks had him.
Yeah, a little bit of a disrespectful TP in right into the middle of a minion wave when Alessandra sat there, gives her a free Ring of Frost. Febiven thought the magic shield would be enough to keep him alive and didn't actually respect the fact Perks is just going to go pretty much all in.
Well, keep in mind, Febiven are looking to trade early because he's running Corruption Potion into only one little biscuit here from Perks. So as long as he can take these trades and just out-sustain Alessandra, it works. Fly going in to interrupt.
Gets the knock-up onto Perks. They just keep poking away at him, but he's going to be able to walk it out. Still holds on to his flash.
Exactly the same kind of swap that Fnatic showed against Vitality last week. One of the things they really improved on here coming into playoffs is the way they're playing these swaps here, optimizing them. Because whenever you send that Sivir to the bottom lane, she can push out on her own. Clyde will then roam to mid lane and just assist Febiven. He might not get anything. This time around, he obviously chunked out Perks, forced him to go back again. And you can see now, G2's trying to swap for these standard lanes. I think Fnatic can just deny this by recalling.
But this is something that Vitality struggled with. They put Cabochard always on the back foot with their lane assignments. Always Cabochard was getting little bits of farm rather than large amounts. So if this ends up in a situation where Kikis can sit and farm, he could be okay. The problem is now, look at how Echo's pushing up in the wave. Kikis didn't get too many creeps from the wave that was pushing in. So it's still not the best of situations for Kikis, but it's certainly better than what Cabo had.
Yeah, basically because Gamsu, as we talked about, could push the wave with the Echo. He pushed it in towards the tier 2 tower, and then G2 decided to make a swap and actually put the Trundle on top side with the wave coming to him. But they did it very late. That's why Emperor and Hybrid came so late to the bottom lane. Fnatic could push in their lane, recall again and say, oh, you want a 2v2? No, we're just going to swap again because we're actually ahead of you right now in the play. And now to get a Rift Herald, and then can grab that wave on top side and start hitting on that tier 2 tower. That's why Trick is showing as well.
Yeah, not only that though, you look at how Fnatic were moving on the map. They maybe could have looked for Kikis at the same time, but obviously now that Rift Herald's been taking Kikis, there's a big warning that there's a bunch of people on the top side, so he's not going to die in this situation. Fnatic don't even look to commit for it.
No, don't really need to at all. Gamsu able to start catching back up in farm. He had been left a little bit further behind in all the aftermath of the shoving around back and forth. Speaking of farm differential too, Reckless has been hard-pressed to catch up to Emperor, and he's gotten the cold to that end, but no answer on G2's AD carry, who with Hybrid continues to push down this bottom side, but don't want to meet their opposing duo.
And a lot of the reason was the time there that Reckless spent up on the Rift Herald as G2 were in the bottom lane. They just got that extra farm increased right now. A lot of it is also about the experience as well. For both of these AD carries, very influential level 6 point for both. So it's something we'll track as we go through, but both are level 5 right now. This farm difference should even out because Sivir tends to just farm up a couple of creeps faster than Kalista can extend her lead.
I really like this move from G2 though, after pushing up the bottom lane, realizing let's not stay and try and harass them on the tower. No, let's go mid straight away. It's a Kassadin. He has no proper wave clear to start getting a bit of damage on his mid tower, and we know this mid lane matchup is so huge. early advantage for Febren because Cly had that gank in mid lane, and also Kassadin is a good pick into Lissandra here. Early on he gets pushed in, yes, but he can farm just fine. And both these mid laners, I mean, if you look at their performance throughout the split, Perkz has been like on fire since week 1. He literally came in and was like, all right guys, I'm gonna be the best mid laner here. I'm just gonna win almost every matchup.
Yeah.
Febren was a bit of a slow starter, but he's really caught up now. I mean, he's playing extremely well coming into this playoff.
Starting to look like his form of last year when he was pretty much in the same boat that Perkz was coming in out of Challenger Series as they picked him up at H2K and just becoming a massive stand-up carry. Also on this Kassadin last week versus Vitality when it wasn't punished early on, he was able to shine on it. More than that, he was burning holes.
And the thing is, Kassadin, a lot of people will remember old Kassadin where everybody would say, oh, just pressure him pre-6 and he's fine, just kill him a couple of times. Thing is, Kassadin now is a fairly safe laner. You still can get his flash, but unless you're stupid, you tend not to die on it. And Febby even showed us last week, it's like, hey, my flash got burned level 1 from Kasing roaming mid. All I have to do is lose a couple of farm here and there, and I'll make all of that up at the end of the game. So don't worry about that. I've got side lane control later on. So Febby has been very smart on how he's played these Kassadin games, even when we feel like they should have got pushed in immensely hard.
And Fnatic to keep dodging around these lanes, especially the 2v2 and bottom side as much as possible. They obviously caught the wave on bot side before, open up for G2 to go mid. Now they're actually sending Febren very early to a side lane. You want to get that Kassadin moved away from mid lane, because losing that mid tower is obviously very, very bad for you. And now you have a Sivir just constant pushing. It also opens up for your jungler and support to stay around mid lane. And then you can suddenly roam to both top and bottom side. If support is sitting on bottom lane, he can only really roam to mid lane.
This is exactly, though, what Vander was talking about on the analyst desk. He was saying that, you know, Fnatic, one of their weaknesses has been their bottom lane getting caught out. And if you put a mid lane, it's a lot easier for them to stay alive in this situation. They play the side lanes off with, you know, the top and mid laner. And Fnatic seem to be fairly comfortable doing it, but I don't feel like many people have been punishing it. Nobody's really been able to actually set up side lane pressure against Fnatic. And I guess we've only seen Vitality try.
Yeah, obviously Vitality didn't really show up in playoffs here. I want to see if we're going to get Hurricane first from Emperor. I think if you want to keep Kalista to try and put pressure on the Kassadin lane, you keep Kalista and of course the two supports, or the support and the jungler here staying around him, and you try and push in the Kassadin and apply pressure on that lane. Hurricane first is a fine item for the extra wave push, but he hasn't gone back yet and bought anything other than those 2 daggers.
Have to keep eyes on that one, but in the meanwhile, we'll turn our attention up towards the top side where the 2 tanks and bruisers start wailing on each other, but Kikis is the one who opts out of that one a little bit quicker with everybody getting their ultimates at this point. G2 starting to push up on bottom side.
And this is the play we just talked about. You know, you have your Kalista pushing against the Kassadin, because if you put Lissandra side lane now, they just keep going even, really. Lissandra will have a slight push advantage, but now we have level 6 or 8 on Kassadin. He can actually be a threat, so you keep the 80 carry. And you want to push in that lane and potentially then rotate to mid and apply pressure on mid tower 4v1. But it's tough because Fnatic are around defending. They're reading the play.
And the other advantage right here is by attacking the global on the bottom side, if Fnatic make a mistake and a fight starts out, it takes so much longer for Reckless to come from mid lane over to bottom than the double TP is coming out from G2. If you're constantly attacking one of those teleports, it gives you pretty much an advantage on that grouping time on that side. So G2 had that as an option. It's not the primary play they're looking for, though.
No, and G2 will be able to grab themselves their first dragon here. Fnatic not really able to respond in time. Gamsu didn't have his teleport available, but no one really wants to fight as much over this dragon anymore. Instead, Fnatic take the opportunity to just send Spirit for some counter jungling.
Yeah, and this good thing about having that 3-man on bottom side is if you can get a mid tower, well then worst case, you know, boo-hoo-hoo, sad for you, you get a dragon instead. Like,
it's a consolation prize.
Yes, I mean, you kind of win out no matter what from the play.
There's a potential for Kikis to be in danger here. There is obviously...
He's asking for help.
Teleports
nope, he's fine.
Yeah.
And so is Spirit. Ward hops. Kikis was looking to chase on, but nothing doing there. And Gamsu is also there to back him up.
Yeah, Gamsu's just prioritizing the farm, though. By kind of forcing Kikis to check the jungle, what it did was mean that Kikis can't absorb the experience and farm from the wave up that far in the lane, so it forces him to delay his recall that comes after he gets it. So basically, it just opens up a slight window on the map. Should Gamsu have the area to go cross-map, I believe his teleport is about to come up.
But just because Fnatic has now gotten out of this early game, even with a small advantage, by having that Kassadin side and having Sivir versus Kalista, they're going to have a pretty strong bottom side of the map. Spirit is finding hybrid. Gamsu and Kikis as well trading on top.
Still small fights back and forth. Gamsu knows he doesn't want to take that one. Klai is forced to burn his flash into the Raptor pit to evade the rest of G2 Esports. But yeah, as you said, that slim lead still hanging on for Fnatic, and they are looking to continue to grow it ever so slowly and build that into a big investment.
See if they can get something on top side. Gamsu is down to about 40% HP. Kikis just want to push it in and have backup to get pressure on tower. Again, G2 are the team looking to snowball this game here. So by them constantly moving around, moving away from mid lane, pressuring this Echo off the tower. Well played by them, but they have to keep in mind they have no wave clear mid. It's a Kalista. She's not going to wave clear.
No, especially not on her own against the Alistar. She's fairly short range as soon as she steps up, unless you can hop away correctly. It's kind of difficult. The Thresh is around though to keep her alive. Speaking about that top lane, we saw Gamsu dropping fairly low. Even though Gamsu is eventually building tank on this Echo, at this point in the game, he's not particularly tanky himself. He's only gotten the Sheen route first for that extra damage. Not actually wanting to trade too much with Kikis, so it does mean in these early parts of the game, Gamsu still needs some extra time to get tanky overall.
Especially didn't want to deal when Kikis was bringing friends to the top lane. So as a result, G2 do knock down their second turret of the game, get themselves right back even in that gold game, and they pick up a Rift Herald to top it off.
We are seeing a G2 team though who, through their 9 weeks of LCS, before we came into playoff, very often would have games where there would have been 3-4 fights already.
Yeah.
Extremely aggressive in the way they were looking to gain advantages through skirmish. Here they've actually been playing the macro game. That little move before going top, and they're not looking for gank. They just want the tower.
Yep.
Hybrid goes back to mid lane because he knows that Kalista on her own cannot wave clear. But he also knows they can take top tower already, so he goes back mid, forces Fnatic off, and they just play this little game where they know they have the stronger early game. So as long as they're the ones being proactive, putting pressure on these towers, Fnatic has to respect that. And they can't overextend. I had no flash, obviously. And just a good little move again by G2, and a lot more macro focus compared to just fighting.
This is the question we had for G2 coming into these playoffs. We haven't seen them play for 3 weeks, and we had to ask ourselves, was G2 still going to try and overextend and overfight and end up outplaying themselves? Remember, the last time this team lost, they were 5k up against Fnatic, and then Kog'Maw happened.
Yeah, then Kog'Maw happened. They stepped in the back of the Baron pit and ended up suiciding in a 1 game.
Luckily, that is gone.
Yeah, that was.
We're not going to see that anymore.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rito.
Yeah, I'm glad that one's not there. But now we've got Echo, who's not quite the same impact, but certainly
he's a different kind of problem.
Pretty strong as well. I mean, the key thing with this tank Echo is that Echo is a champion that was meant to have specific sets of weaknesses, that he's either meant to dart around a fight and kind of jump in, jump back out because you can't take prolonged amounts of damage, and then ultimate yourself back to get the health back for more damage. Now you just sit in the fight and stay in the fight, stun 3 people twice over, ult back to get your health back, and still kill people with base damages from the passive.
Yeah, I mean, he's strong for sure, but we got to look at items, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, Iceborne Gauntlet, Sunfire, that little combination is what a lot of these top laners use to become too strong, honestly.
Yes.
As an AD carry, often you don't feel very useful in team fights, trying to hit a tank with like 200 armor.
I think tanks don't feel very confident either.
Well, that's why you have a Trundle.
Yeah.
Because then when you stack your armor, he takes your armor, and then he starts beating you with a club.
That's pretty much Trundle. That is how you troll. So G2 still staying bang on even with the 1 tower advantage. There really isn't any opening for Fnatic to respond to this one. Where do they go from here?
Well, keep in mind, Fnatic are not interested really in saying anything at this point. They just want to let G2 play this game. As long as G2 plays it very slow, Fnatic is scaling up. You need 2 items on this caster. The problem is this top lane matchup.
Yeah, we might get to see the first blood. Finally, Trick coming right back where he needs to be. But Gamsu, chrono breaks. Trick trying for the long shot. It was not enough. 1 more bite would do it, but Kikis is still trying to chase him down. Gamsu with the speed boost, but he's running towards the wrong tower.
And Fnatic is pushing mid lane now, Pyra.
He's going to try to go for the execute, but that's not going to happen. There was no tower in sight. First blood goes over to Kikis now, and Fnatic running all through mid, and teleports canceled everywhere.
Yeah, so Fnatic were pushing down mid lane because Gamsu bought so much time, but then instant reaction from Perkz with the teleport. Again though, Fnatic were able to hold mid lane, hold the bottom lane. Top lane is the issue. There was a blind pick Echo coming in, and Trundle was already there for G2.
Aside from this top lane tower going down now, that's going to be a goal for G2. The problem with that is you look at the teleports. Gamsu has his available. Kick is teleported to try and start that fight. Oh, Perks.
Oh, and he doesn't have no teleport. Not that it would have kept him alive much longer.
Lantern?
Puts the tomb on himself. Yoinked back by the Lantern, and the rest of G2 are there. Perks hangs on by a sliver of health, and Fnatic are denied the kill.
And again, that's the kind of thing that Fnatic can look to do when they know they got an advantage. Lucky for Perks, though, the rest of his team was around. Expect that kind of thing to happen again. If we end up in a situation where it's 2 versus 2 in the bottom or top lane now, Fnatic can look to attack that with a double TP, and G2 cannot get there in the same amount of time.
And the fact that Fnatic now lost 1 tower on top side, but then got the bottom tower, it's mainly about this 1 kill for Gamsu here. The rest actually is kind of nullified by now, and as you just said here, the TPs are on cooldown, so it will stop G2 from playing aggressive for a few minutes, where Fnatic can again sit and farm, scale. Second item is completed for Febiven. In the end, the minions are helping, and then the TP in mid lane, nice reaction from Perks to stop the push.
It's this second one, though. At this point, Kigis is clearly like telling with the rest of the team, I'm coming in, I'm TPing, and then they don't really respect the Sivir being able to get them away from here. Perks, we think he's in danger, but when there's a...
Well, he is kind of in danger.
Well,
you think it's safe.
They pinball him around a little bit, but then he gets yoinked back himself, right? Febiven, for himself, is able to walk away, Rift walk away, I should say, from Kikis. Dragon's now live on the field, and a lot of Fnatic and G2 members hanging out in this Riverside. Looking to fight over it, but just trying to deal a little bit of damage back and forth.
You gotta look at it though, man. 2 item casted in before like that 20-minute mark. It's getting fairly scary. We're at the point where G2, they haven't prioritized shutting Febiven down, and the actual benefit that they've had from their early game moves has only translated into a slight lead. It's about it's a tower and 2 dragons up, which is a good basis to build from. But unless they can really play around this Kassadin effectively, not allow him too much freedom on the map, this is a rough way of dealing with this game for G2.
It may not be enough to shut down Febiven. He's just so crucial in those fights against Vitality. This man has been able to do things that I would not have believed if I hadn't been watching those games myself. So G2, timer might be looming over their heads in this one.
Yeah, especially also a guy like Emperor at this point. It's like an 80 carry nightmare in the late game when you face Alistar, Kassadin, Echo. Like, you're not supposed to deal any damage, basically. You will get chased down by multiple members of Fnatic, and then it's all about what can this Trundle and this Lissandra do with their teleports. Can they actually get in the backline, take down Reckless? Or will G2 be forced into situations where you're just trying to survive? Like Kassadin jumping in every time? And it's why it's such an issue. It's why we talk so much about it. The fact that Fnatic are keeping very even in gold with this comp here, with this scaling mid laner.
The thing we have to look at, though, is how G2 have picked up objectives time and time again throughout this early game. So there are, these increases. Now they got another Rift Herald. I think it was Fnatic actually took the first one. But you mentioned Emperor in that. Interesting that he goes for the Kalista. The Lucian was available. G2 as a team rely on their 80 carry for damage the least out of any team in Europe here. That damage is supplemented by Trick out of the jungle. He's played a lot of Kindred, a lot of Graves, these high damage champions. So this is maybe an example of Emperor going, well, we don't need the Lucian for damage. Let's get the extra team fight presence, the ability to start a fight with this Kalista.
Yeah, especially a guy like Hybrid will benefit a lot. We heard as well Van on the desk talking about how Hybrid in team fights is a fantastic support. He really knows what his role is. Normally it is on a Braum. Now it is on a Thresh. A little bit different for him. You are not as strong in that front line, but with the Kalista you can play very aggressive, and then you can always get pulled back by the Kalista and reposition as a support. So it definitely is also because they know how good Hybrid is, and it enables him even more by them picking the Kalista.
So in that respect, they were banning away the Braum, of course, against Hybrid. And for G2, these guys coming in to this week, it did seem a lot closer than what we would have expected to call this, even if we thought Fnatic were going to win versus Vitality, which I think surprised pretty much everybody. And this is just very impressive at how this Fnatic squad has come right back on up, and G2 is involved right along with it. This is going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah, I think G2 is definitely the team to look at for this entire split, just coming in from Challenger, getting these 2 Korean players, a guy like Emperor who was obviously traveling around the world, who's been in Brazil, he's played in North America, came in too late obviously, got actually relegated with his team, but now he is in Europe and he's been having a good season, despite the fact he's been too aggressive at times. I don't think he's a star player on this lineup. I don't think he has to be the star player when you have Trick, when you have Perks. And that's why he's actually fit in fine, in my opinion.
And that's pretty much the case when you're surrounded by stars. Even if you're shining bright, you can get outshone by these guys, but it's completely fine. You look at what Trick's been able to accomplish. You look at Perks with the Rookie of the Split Award. You look at Youngbuck and his debut as a coach and his, in Europe at least. He has had a pretty fantastic track record. The team's only dropped 3 games. Yeah, it's best of ones. You can argue maybe that doesn't look as impressive, but so far in the start of these playoffs, they're looking very controlled, very smart.
And I think, honestly, Fnatic have done something fairly smart in both of their game ones in the best of fives. Game 1 in a best of 5 is a bit of a feeling out process. How greedy can we play? How passive can we play without them punishing us? What objectives can we take in these kind of circumstances? And Kassadin is that kind of pick. It's like, well, if you don't punish us in any way for it, which is difficult, well, it's just going to scale up, is going to pretty much be able to control the game at the end. And Fnatic have been given a lot of freedom by G2 on that.
Yeah, I think a big problem for G2 is the fact they've never really been able to push 2 side lanes at once.
Yeah.
It's always kind of like one guy pushing up, the other guy's then backing away a little bit, and actually allowed February as well to get that bot tower after you've been there a few times and hit it quite a few times, and then the TPs were used by G2 at another position. But what you want to do technically is you actually want to push these side lanes up, and then once you get past the tier 1 tower that's already dead, you move in towards this mid lane. You force the Sivir to step away from tower, step away from the wave, so she can't do this. We see right here, walk up, static shift, 2 hits, and it's gone. You need to pressure her then from the side lanes in, so she has to back away, opens up for that mid tower, you take it down, and then you start playing around Baron and these dragons again, because suddenly the enemy team has no outer turrets, and the river should be yours. And you can get these deep wards, you can get the TP flanks when the team comes in to stop the Baron or stop the Dragon. But right now, G2 have not been able to play these side lanes, and this Kassadin has now gotten to a very strong point.
And you know what this translates into? Just because of how difficult it is for Emperor to, push up against Rekkles, and Rekkles just clears it, we've got a 50 CS difference in favor of Rekkles. And this is Rekkles' second game of the split.
TP coming, guys.
Here's the TP plays, though, cancelled out. They don't want to instantly go all aggressive here. You can see Perks didn't have the angle to get into the fight.
But that's another small win now for Fnatic. They're even going aggressive.
Yeah, they got to find themselves Kikis, but the troll turns right back around. Hybrid now going very low. They have to burn the Fate's Call. Immediately burns right out of that one. Now Gamsu back onto Kikis without any help coming. But look at how tanky the troll is. He's just taking bites out of him in this 1v1. But the rest of Fnatic are going to collapse right on him. Not able to connect with the Sonic Wave. Timewinder will come in. And Kikis is still holding firm.
Yeah, it's going to take quite a while to kill Kikis at this point. He has a lot of regen, has that Spirit Visage as well, so against the likes of Gamsu and Febiven at this point in the game, it's going to be tough to actually eat through the health bar of Kikis. Febiven was up in the top lane, though, at the same time, still pushing, still has his teleport available.
Yeah.
Tunneling, they're on this Dragon right now, but it has allowed Febiven to push more on that top side. That is 3 Drakes to G2, though, and that is important if they want to try to play the 5 Dragon game.
Actually pretty large for G2 to pick up this Dragon. See if they can get a cow in the mid lane.
One playback. Oh, he's going to burn Flash and Unbreakable Will. Still Febiven. In the bottom of your screen, you see it side pushing on this top side. After 20-odd minutes of very back and forth, a lot of fight avoidance, things have started to break out here, and the mid lane turret's gone.
But this freedom once again benefits Fnatic. I mean, okay, they haven't got their opponent's mid tower down, but they've never made a push for it. As long as they don't lose too much here off their second tower, they should be fine. Rekkles steps up to clear.
Kickback! Oh, Emperor! He's able to get out of this one. Now Trick will pick up Spirit on the back, and the rest of Fnatic are running scared. Febiven trying to get involved in this one. Locked up Perks, or Perks locked himself up, I should say, as Febiven and Gamsu now on the run. Gamsu yoinked back in. Trick blows him away. Febiven manages to answer on Hybrid, but that's not who you want to try to clean up the fights, and that is going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of G2.
Very big things here in the fight. Early QSS for Emperor after 2 items are completed, and basically what happens when Lee Sin kicks you back, you're technically stunned in the air, but you can QSS and then flash instantly. Look here, he gets kicked into QSS and flashes, so it doesn't fall all the way in towards Fnatic. Stays alive at first. We see the TP flank coming over to both from the Kassadin and the Echo, but now the fight is really split. The rest of Fnatic are not able to join. Gamsu even gets CC'd, so he cannot jump back to his ulti. Febiven picks up 1 kill, but Fnatic here were definitely expecting to surprise G2, take out the AD carry instantly, and then QSS flash. Very good reaction time here from Emperor.
And the issue there was Cly, after having to burn his ultimate, burn his flash earlier, took too much damage with Reckless under their own turret, so they couldn't supplement the damage. If Fnatic had 4 people coming in on that, that's where the Echo freedom and the Kassadin freedom in these fights comes from, is when there are too many threats to just lock down one person in a fight. That time, you know, G2 turned their attention to Gamsu, take him out. The fight becomes infinitely more easy.
It was all on them trying to pick off Emperor, who really prioritized the QSS, the 3rd item picked up for him after the Hurricane, after the Blade of the Ruined King. And Emperor really fast fingers on that one, able to stay alive as a result. It's 3-1 in favor of G2 for kills. Slim gold lead still, but it's mostly been on those dragons and that one tower edge.
Yeah, and we could see G2 saying, we need to start fighting, guys. So they actually TP'd in for that dragon at first. We could go a few minutes back. Fnatic disengaged, and then suddenly it looked very good for Fnatic. Could still push topside. They weren't interested in really fighting before that, because they also had a split pushing Kassadin, and G2 couldn't fight until they moved Perks all the way down, took that dragon, pushed up mid, and then we had that opening that Spirit started.
And that's a fairly rare opening. Very, you know, infrequently do we ever see a team that do not have their teleports win a fight against a team that has both of them available when both teams weren't really in the situation to fight. And it was a good just initiation, counter initiation that came from G2.
Also just the TPs for Fnatic, they were so far away from the fight itself, they didn't really have a ward perfectly set up to engage in, and now G2 has to basically play around this Baron, because again, they are looking for a fight where they can TP in with Perks and kick us from behind. Starting the Baron, 1 blue trinket available for Febiven, he is nearby. Perks is now sitting ready in the bush. G2 really wants to fight here.
Yeah, Spirit could get baited in. Instead, Kikis will have to settle for a consolation prize. Taking a whack at that pink ward, not able to get it all down to 0. Fnatic really wise to this one, not going to let G2 get away with that, and didn't even expend that blue trinket, so G2 have to go home empty-handed. 28 minutes into the game, and it has all started to settle around the big purple worm.
But now we've got to look at how Fnatic can utilize side lanes against the TPs. Febiven is a little afraid to go up to this top side without Spirit being in close proximity. I was watching his movements up and down through the jungle, and without Spirit even remotely close, he was like, I don't really want to go up there, because if they have wards off to the side and can TP in on me, it doesn't matter that I'm Kassadin, I have no flash, and Riftwalk isn't enough to get me out of this situation if I'm up against the likes of a Lissandra and a Trundle who are going to kill me pretty quickly.
I know you were making a kind of a strange face about the Kassadin build path to Fishio.
No. I was just getting afraid because he now had a void staff already.
Yeah.
Oh, I misinterpret it as it's disgusting amounts.
It's the same face anyway.
Yeah.
I
just can't tell, man. I've known you for a while now, and it still doesn't make any sense.
I only have one face, Pyra. Face of disappointment.
Oh, ooh, that was like a shot in all directions. Well, hopefully this game lives a little bit more up to your high standards. Another minute and 15 seconds on the next dragon available. G2 holding on to that 1K lead. They've been able to take dragons pretty freely this game, and it gives them a lot of an edge once they picked up number 4 to start threatening for 5.
Yeah, and something with these, again, double TP compositions where, as we talk about so often, it's about pushing these side lanes in, because once you push it up to an enemy tower, the river is yours. You can take the objectives, Rift, Hell, Dragon, even Baron. Getting early dragons actually has more value then, in that case, if you are against a scaling composition, because it gives you that opening to force them into a fight where they might not be able to check every ward behind them, and then suddenly you get that great TP location, you start a good fight, and you use that to snowball by forcing them to come down and stop you when you are taking these dragons. So obviously 4th dragon is going to be a big objective now for G2. Fnatic have teleports ready. Level 16 Kassadin has been hit, so we are in the zone. You know, Febiven, he's ready.
Oh yeah, he is so ready to start dealing damage. And Gamsu is so ready to get rid of everything in this game when it comes to crowd control or debuffs. He's picked himself up the QSS. Obviously very effective against the Trundle. He's going to want to be able to utilize that in the sideways, but the Lissandra as well in a team fight. Very good at dealing with an Echo.
Oh, look at the TP here.
That was a nice quickie by G2, but will be quick enough. They look for Cly. He's unbreakable. Can he walk it out? Gets a big old knock-up on 4 members, and he knocks headbutting back. Spirit trying to pinball it all around, and the fight is going completely haywire. Emperor in the back dealing as much as he can, and he picks up Cly. Now the side of beef is cut. The rest of Fnatic are starting to crumble. Gamsu and Febiven going low. Perks almost able to make the outplay, but not quite enough. It's going to be a 2 for 4, though, and G2 come up huge.
Gamsu got locked down with Febiven in the middle of that team fight. and still has his QSS available. It was a catch onto Clyde that kicked that fight off, and look at the death timers. This is going to be critical damage coming out for G2.
Yeah, one inhibitor, it's already going down. We're 31 minutes and the base just got cracked because that fight went completely nuts. But no minions still here. Can Spirit save the day? They're wailing on the Nexus turrets. Drake is actually tanking it all up. Spirit going low. They knock him back. They take him out. That's an ace. There's still death timers going.
And it's only Clyde coming now. That's not enough for Fnatic. G2 looking to finish.
This is going to be an abrupt finish indeed. Trick going a little bit low here, but there's no more damage left, and Clyde can only help but watch as the Nexus will fall, and G2 take a quickie to finish up game 1.
That entire build-up around this castle and hitting level 16, you know, G2 were playing around the dragons. What actually happened there in the end was that they had a big wave on bottom side that Fnatic were very slow to react to. They come down, trying to like sneak in behind G2, and they're like, well, this is what we want. We want you to come in here, split up so we can engage onto you, and Perks TP's in. Fight is very split up, Fibrin joins late, and then suddenly everything is lost.
Yeah, and a lot of that is you have two high mobility, team fight loving mages. You have an Echo who's playing tank and a Kassadin who should be able to survive a lot. They stand on top of each other. Lissandra is just like, oh, okay, well, we can crowd control these people in place. They're not dealing damage. The first thing Febby had to do in that fight, by the way, is ult out of the fight to reposition.
Yeah, Perks went on to him.
Lissandra ult straight away. So this, you know, this Kassadin in that fight actually didn't do too much.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually get to the point where I was like, well, if they can lock down Febivin, something will be able to happen. And then all of a sudden, all of this careful build-up, all this planning, it completely is undone. And G2, after all this crazy macro game, they win it off a fight, of course.
I really think Fnatic were sitting there talking about this 4th dragon, how now it's time to go down and stop it. We have level 16 on our mid laner. This is everything we've been farming for and like kind of delaying the game for. We saw how they were normally not looking for fights other than the one engage in mid lane from Spirit where they thought they could catch an AD carry. But now here in the end, because they maybe got too eager to fight, they end up sneaking in around and like was completely split up, and then they lose that one fight and the game is over because of the long death timers.
Yeah, and that was it. I mean, that's all you can say about it.
Entire build-up is gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's game 1's already locked down. We're going to go ahead and send it back to the analyst desk to discuss how they put a new meaning on sudden death.
Yeah, thank you, Pyra. It was all over all of a sudden for G2, and we want to start by taking a look at Pick and Ben. Obviously, as we know how much is going to evolve throughout the series, what did you guys make of both teams' draft? Obviously, G2 electing for that Graves first pick, giving Sivir and Alistar over to the side of Fnatic. What was the most influential pick here?
Yes, I think, as I said, Trick is the main player, and his 3 most comfort picks are right now Nidalee, Kindred, and Graves. 2 are banned, so it's really obvious what they're gonna first pick Graves.
I think that like the scaling that Fnatic has in their composition, like they really relied on the lane swap and everything like that, which is something that you can do, but it's not necessarily something you want because there are too many scaling elements, so they couldn't really control waves on the side. So it just felt that G2 would have the pressure no matter what throughout the early 30 minutes until Kassadin basically hit service 16. And if you then opt for a bad fight before the Kassadin is actually hitting his power spike, it's pretty grim.
Yeah, because, what we heard here on the desk and we all were talking about was, well, it doesn't actually matter. The minute Kassadin hits his power spike, things will be over, but they pulled the trigger.
I mean, late game Kassadin will do some dirty things. The way to get there, though, step 1 for Fnatic is to get the lane swap, and that's going to be our first replay where we just were surprised by what Fnatic did, because it was smart from G2. First of all, they deep invaded to get some deep vision on the left side of the map. That's where you see the wards. And then, yeah, Vander, is this a strategy, is this cheese, or is this completely to be expected here from Fnatic?
Both sides have wards in the enemy jungle, and then duo lane has to just sit mid basically and see where the enemy Kalista Thresh go, and they just played it better, more patient here.
Yeah, before this maybe, which lane do you want?
I mean, you want Sivir and Alistar to swap the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a phase in the lane swap that you felt particularly strong about, Vander. Guide us to what you think of it.
So right now, Sivir was much ahead of lane swap than Kalista, and that's why Echo could sit Kalista Thresh on the ward coming to top lane. So he was pushing out to trim the wave, so their push on the tower will be slower. But here we see they actually didn't want to push for the tower, they just wanted to freeze for Trundle. which is recalling and coming top now. But unfortunately, Kalista pushed the wave here and basically ruined the plan for G2.
So the concept is that the G2 bot lane kind of holds the wave and then hands it off to the top laner?
And then there's like matching lanes where Thresh and Kalista is much stronger than Civil Alistar. So they would be much ahead from this and nullify the power of Civil Econ lane swaps, but unfortunately...
I think it really depends. I think that G2 like kind of pushing out and having like kind of a pace in the game is good, at least like to a certain extent. I think freezing for Trundle would have been an option, but if you freeze with Trundle, you also risk actually to be dove 4v3 if the jungle comes bottom and you have the top laner already rotating towards bottom or tipping in. So I think like it's a double-edged sword. If you can freeze for Trundle, but if you do that, you risk being dove bottom, especially with the dive champions that Fnatic had.
Yeah, it was still pretty even after the lane swap, and I remember we're going to pull the next replay up, but right before that you said Kalista is not really useful here, plus she just bought QSS, and then this happens, Crepo.
QSS was behind. I asked Vander, tell me, why the hell does this guy have a QSS? And Vander told me, well, Crepo, you can QSS flash, Lee Sin kick, and Azoh Q. I was like, oh yeah, you're right, that makes some sense. And then this happened. Emperor here completely wins that fight.
I predicted what's gonna happen. I mean, yeah, it's a bit optional. It can happen. It doesn't happen that often that Lee Sin is in a good position to kick you, but here probably if he didn't have QSS, the teamfight would go for G2, but they pull it out 2-4-1.
Amazing. We were watching Spirit on this Lee Sin, and you were saying a couple times, oof, that Q, he's tilted now, but this probably makes for so more, knowing that the tempo is completely ruined.
Yeah, basically, if you play Lee Sin and you have one misplay coming in, or like one play that doesn't go your way, you're already setting yourself up for tilt, and I think that like he did the perfect thing there. He probably didn't think out the QSS interaction, which I probably wouldn't have thought about either, but now I know.
Even then, you still go for that play,
Yeah,
right? Because he was this close from dying. It was literally 10% into lifesteal, and I think that was also the precursor for our last team fight. I'm not sure if this is a fight that put the teleports in cooldown. Regardless, there was a teleport mismatch. G2 started taking control of the map, and Fnatic felt pressure to challenge this 4th dragon. And they went for a team fight.
I think Kassadin is top now, so I think Clyde got a bit caught here. And he went in, it's good, really good combo for man, but Kassadin is not here yet. If Alistar would go in now, then Fnatic would probably win, but I just think Alistar pulled his trigger a bit too fast here.
And do you think that's Fnatic losing control of the overview of the game? Maybe getting surprised by a rotation bot here? Or like what do you think happened there?
Basically, they were pressured by 4th Drake, and they wanted some vision and some control in this area, but they misplayed, just went too fast and were not cautious enough.
Do you guys think we'll see a lot more emphasis on dragons overall? Because this split so far, Europe didn't really care about dragons, but games are going quite long, especially keeping yesterday's series in mind. Do you think 5 dragons is a viable strategy? Pick a little bit more early game oriented composition that does get outscaled, but then can get the 5th dragon to make up for it?
I think it's really risky to do that. I think like relying on the dragon to basically give you that 5th stack at some point to make up for less late game scaling is risky. So I don't think it's something that people will necessarily opt into. It's something that's going to be optional, and it's not going to be like people are going to play full early game compositions. But I think that paying more attention to the Drake per se is something that people will do, and probably should have done that yesterday. But yeah, I think G2 pressuring with 4th Drake is pretty good, but I also think that Fnatic didn't need to fight there.
Yep.
So opting for that fight is something that they decided for, and they were not really pressured because the 5th stake was not coming up yet.
Yeah.
So it's just up to them to basically decide to make that mistake happen.
Yeah, we will see what happens and how the priority goes up or down. But we're going to take a quick break as Fnatic looks to even things up in Game 2. But first, let's hear from G2's Hybrid.
Since the first day we met, like we have really good synergy. The first scrim we did, like everything went perfect. Like it felt so perfect, you know.